Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me today, beyond the clap, is Ben.
Hey, round two.
No, you've let them behind the curtain. Now they'll know all our secrets.
As if there was any curtain. But only the Patreon subscribers will get that 5 minutes of audio.
It's true. In my imagination, for if we had a Patreon, it would all the extra audio would be
all of our
setup, basically. Premium content.
It turns out, so to recap, I am at my parents' house. I am using a Yeti mic that I found with no shock mount, so I'm being careful. And the laptop I'm using apparently cannot handle recording in Audacity for very long.
It lagged and then pooped out everything.
Yeah, it was great.
I lost Ben. He disappeared. He vanished.
Which, takes me back to the good old days.
Yeah. So we are beyond the clap. We are on just me recording the whole thing through Discord. Apologies if any audio issues arise later that I can't fix. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But this week we're starting a new endeavor. We are doing another bracket challenge with movies, and we're doing the films of Hayao Miyazaki, and see how that goes. Maybe some Ghibli stuff. We still haven't decided on some of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of bangers either way.
Yes, many bangers.
unlike
a similar
the Godzilla
style.
Bracket.
That was all bangers? That wasn't just many bangers.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. How many did we skip because they were just too good?
2.
Yeah, okay. Would have swept the competition too easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like the original bracket idea. This is kind of the thing that I had thought up when I came up with the bracket idea, and then Hank expanded us into glory with Godzilla.
I had other ideas too. I had a whole comic book bracket thing planned out, but not with like normal comic book movies.
Which
like movies you're like, wait, that was based on a comic book? What?
Who's to say we're not gonna go there?
Yeah, it would be a while. I'm just
saying.
saying. By the time that actually happens, no one will remember this. So
okay,
it's fine.
All right, that's fair.
Spoilers for if we're doing this in a year or whatever. But yeah.
So what? Well, we're just going through these chronologically again.
Yeah. No fussing around, just chronologically. So we've got Miyazaki's first directorial movie, The Castle of Cagliostro, the Lupin III movie he directed, and then we've got Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky, or Laputa, Castle in the Sky, and My Neighbor Totoro are the 4 movies we're talking about today on this podcast.
Right here.
So I guess we'll start with, we'll go in chronological order. Here we got this Lupin III movie. And Ben, are you familiar at all with Lupin III other than this movie?
I am not.
There's a lot of Lupin III. There's a lot.
Like, what is it?
I mean,
it was actually a thing I didn't...
It was a manga first,
Oh.
and then it's a TV show that I think Miyazaki also worked on.
I never knew.
And it's kind of just a ongoing thing. Like, they're still do Lupin shows. Like, it's just...
Good Lord.
It's just one of those things that just keeps happening. Technically, he has the wrong color jacket in the early series, though, because in the manga, his jacket was supposed to be red. Interesting factoid. Apparently, it was like a class thing, where green was seen as more up class and red was lower class when they started the anime. And then later they were just like, yo, but what if we just said fuck it and actually colored it the color it's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's weird.
It's weird things when you look stuff up. But yeah, like the whole, in anime, the whole idea of the Phantom Thief basically ties back to Lupin. So
Okay.
Persona 5 ties back to Lupin.
Great.
I mean, and Phantom Thief stuff ties back even further in Japanese culture, but like
Sure.
for anime, Lupin kind of set the standard. It's just one of those like genre characters. It's always these kind of stories, and it's just over and over, and you never stop telling them. Like
Gotcha.
mystery detective stuff in
Okay.
the U.S. or Britain or whatever. There's a lot of Lupin, and then there's like Lupin, but they're samurais in samurai times, like spin-off stuff.
I mean, yeah, you got to branch out.
Yeah, man. And like if you look at Cowboy Bebop, Spike is clearly influenced by Lupin. Just
I
the
can
way
see that.
way he looks. It's a more complex character, but you know that there's historical influences there for sure. And this movie's pretty good. I think this
So
I think this is the best Lupin because it's Miyazaki also. Is it like we're not like coming in on like off-brand Lupin here. This is probably the best. There are like some more recent Lupin stuff I've heard people talk about quite strongly that I haven't seen, but this is probably the best. It's top tier at
that's good
least.
to know.
Top tier Lupin.
I've owned this movie technically for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Miyazaki Blu-ray collection,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, definitely judging a book by its cover. Like all the other Miyazaki stuff, I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. And it's either nature and I'm in, or it wasn't nature, but I had some experience with it, like
Yeah.
at least a little bit, so I was fine. But for this, I looked at it and I'm like, it's old. It's like castle stuff.
It's old.
Like it doesn't look like it's a.
Oh no, it's whatever.
So,
Like,
I don't know if I'm. And then I watched it for this, and it's a fucking banger.
It is
the whole thing is good.
It is just very entertaining. It's just very entertaining. But yeah, it's not, again, because he's adapting material, it doesn't have his Miyazaki's style of character designs or anything. But like when the animation gets good, it gets good in that Miyazaki way of like just overly detailed, like stuff is just, there's just extra animation on stuff. Like the way cars fly through the air or whatever. That empty space is a thing he's called.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes. Oh, you lost me? Okay. I just keep going. It's fine.
Or
Yeah, it's got that Miyazaki style in the over animated stuff. And then there's that part where he tries to shoot a rocket tied to a string and drops it.
it falls down the building.
Yeah. And it's also just funny watching this because like Lupin is such a cartoon character.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, there are times he's like just a Looney Tunes character, which is not the typical kind of characters you get in Miyazaki movies. Usually, they're a little more based in reality than this.
Mm-hmm.
This is way more pulp and silly. But the big thing is like the characters and their interactions are super fun.
Yeah, I got a vibe. Like you mentioned Cowboy Bebop, and that makes sense. Like between Lupin and the what's his bud's name?
I don't freaking remember.
It gave me they're how they interacted gave me Cowboy Bebop vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I was
for sure.
I was just like the soundtrack the entire time, super impressive, and like everything. It didn't hang, like it didn't feel like it was taking too long with shit, which Then we got the Nausicaa later, and that,
Yeah.
it's the opposite, kind of. But anyway.
Jigen is the guy's... Daisuke Jigen.
Okay.
That's the other
Yeah.
guy's name. And then there's Goemon. It's the samurai dude who just shows up later.
It was just there. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, there's like definitely... If you didn't know about Lupin, there's definitely a lot of just characters just showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Between Fujiko and Goemon, really, are the two. They're just like... No explanation. They're just...
Yeah.
Particularly Goemon is like barely a part of this movie. But,
like,
he gets some good Goemon action. His blade must destroy things.
The cop at least like made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, that's
as
that
far as
classic.
tropes go.
Yeah. Classic.
But yeah, the samurai just showing up. I'm like, yeah, right. Of course, everybody like has their samurai bud.
Everybody loves Goemon. Come on.
Yeah, so I felt like a bit of an ass. I'm like, yeah, I definitely was judging this by its old cover. This is old, gross.
Wow, it's from 79. It's like 5 years older than Nausicaa.
Older animation though, like that's hit and miss. I don't know. It was his first movie. Maybe people just maybe for all I know, maybe people just liked it because it was his first, even though it could have been garbage. It's like Legend of Zelda.
Wow. There's strong words.
For another episode.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you want to find the garbage Miyazaki worked on, look at his films he didn't direct. That he made before that.
Yeah.
He made a movie. It's called Gulliver Travels Beyond the Moon in '66. He worked on. Sounds bad.
Maybe there's Houyhnhnms.
Nope.
Maybe it's a spaceship that the Houyhnhnms made.
It's just like it's in the future, and now Gulliver is in it as an old man who travels to space now. Doesn't really have anything to do with it other than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fun adventure story about gotta rescue a princess from an evil guy who's trying to marry her. Classic stuff.
Yeah, and it felt, the pacing felt very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was very, very enjoyable. It was, I forget about how long it was. It was like over an hour and a half, but not by much, I don't think.
It's like 2.5 hours, dude. It's
What?
long. Yeah, only My Neighbor Totoro is the shortest. The ones we saw.
You're fucking with me.
It is.
There's no way.
Okay, it's 100 minutes. I might have overstated a little.
It's 2.5 hours long, this guy. I'm like, there's no way. There couldn't possibly be. All right.
No, that's Nausicaa. That's 2.5 or whatever, 2.
I'm pretty sure Nausicaa was 4.
Wow.
Just a theory.
Strong words on Nausicaa.
I don't know. We can segue into it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. Ben apparently hates it and thought it was super boring. Wow.
That's strong. That's putting words in my mouth. I don't
just
hate it.
Throwing it in the garbage.
It's just not great.
I'm kind of with you.
It's like, it's okay.
So Nausicaa is one of those movies where, like, if I take out a segment of it and I just look at the animation for, like, say her fight scene after her dad dies, it's so fucking good. Like, the way he animates that fight where she just murders a bunch of people, it's so good. But this one doesn't emotionally connect with me. And there's a lot of bugs.
Literal bugs.
Yes, there's a lot of insect stuff, and you have to, like, loving insects is, like, a big part of it, so you have to...
Well, it's loving nature, dude.
Yes,
not just insects.
Giant
fucking
proboscis-y multi-eyed insects. You have to love them.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. But really my problem with it, like compared to specifically Castle of Cagliostro, is the character stuff. There's no... Nausicaa really doesn't have any characters to bounce off of. And like there's a dude love interest character, but he gets introduced like really late,
Yeah.
like really far in, and they don't really even interact all that much. There's just a lot of she's awesome and kind of she doesn't even really have an arc. She like gets super mad and murders a bunch of people when her dad dies, but mostly it's just she values nature in a way no one else does. She connects with the insects in a way no one else does.
I had only seen this movie once before.
Mm-hmm.
And I like once before, but of course I knew about it and
Mm-hmm.
I had a rough idea of it and everything. And like I knew that the guy showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for a very long time. I thought it was way earlier in the film, and I was just waiting. Kept not happening. And then I was wondering, like, was I misremembering? Was it a different film? Because I swear to God, it was this one. And then he shows up, and I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
It's also very the message of war is bad, nature is good, is like kind of swung around like a hammer.
Welcome to Miyazaki movies, yes. That will continue to be a thing. But yeah, this is one of the examples of it being heavy-handed, I would say. Ben is dying currently.
Oh no! Hi, there it is.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm always there. I can hear part of it, but like I
Weird.
noticed that my voice wasn't coming through all the way.
Mm.
It's like flying a burning plane. I know I'm gonna be
Man.
able to land, and we're fine. But also
Planes
the
in this
on fire.
movie really explode easily. It does not take a lot. They're not well built.
Oh yeah, no, they're fragile.
They're not well armored. Oh, a minor detail that bugs me. Get it? She's all excited about getting that like shed eye out of that giant ohm shell.
Yeah.
What do they
And the
do with
rest of the
them?
shell, yeah.
Like literally the last we see of that thing is kids playing with it.
I assume they use it for like materials for something.
For something, but like the last scene we see of it is like the children of the village running away with it.
Well, maybe she's just excited because now they can sled down a hill. Like, don't judge.
It's just weird that was how that ended. After so much of the movie was about like built around having that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing about this movie takes its time,
Yeah.
which is good, but it's also like it doesn't connect with me because what I need more character stuff. Is frankly what it is for me. Is just there's not enough character interaction.
Yeah.
And
no,
the character
I would
interaction
agree.
we do get is pretty simple. Like the evil princess lady who doesn't have a hand. She's like the most interesting character in the movie probably, but even she doesn't get that much of an arc. She's just like she wants to save the world, but she's just going about it in the wrong way. Is like the gist of it. But there's just a lot of this movie that just looks great, and it's so I want to like it a lot.
Yeah, no, there's so many, and especially like there's so many good nature scenes in it, and I'm a whore for that. Like I'm down, but can't save the film. It's not enough.
Yeah. And even that idea of like there's like this is like whatever the last of humanity in this spot, and they're all fighting each other, but also about to like go extinct or whatever. Like that's all good stuff, but doesn't quite hit. And to like nature message stuff is heavy-handed for sure. In a way, it doesn't need, like, in the way that's like, I don't think that helps the emotions of the movie. I think it's kind of in the way it's done. I don't have a problem with that. That idea is fine. It's the way the movie goes about, like, expressing that to the audience, and I don't think is emotionally satisfying. It's like, this is the logic of this. Like, that's no. Why you do that? Like, yes, I agree, but you're wasting your time making this movie.
You're right, but you're right for the wrong reasons.
You're right, but, like, make your movie better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You're right, but cut out a half an hour of the explanation, please.
Yeah. And, like, if we're comparing it to Castle of Cagliostro, it doesn't have those ninjas. Those ninjas in that movie are fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It took me a while. I was trying to figure out if they were wearing, like, metal claw gloves or if they were just, like, alligator people or something.
You didn't realize that, like, that evil dude's butler was one of them? Yeah,
like, okay, I guess. Dude looks great. He looks great for his age.
Yeah,
apparently.
Man. He is a beast in the combat arena. Just a little hunched over. That's all. God. Yeah. I like those giant war machines that destroyed the Earth. That like shot the beginning of the movie where they're all walking around and everything's burning. That's a good shot. And then that thing like firing off its laser at the end. That's gross. It's literally rotting away. That's all.
It's melting and it's all gross.
Yeah. It's all good stuff. But
I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
More screen time from giant melty dude. You know what? Speaking of giant melty dude, the intro to Nausicaä, real good.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're rolling the credits and you get all the other giant people and stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. And then, you know, the rest of the movie happens.
It's not. Again, it's good. I think it's a good movie.
Yes.
I think it's not as good as the other movies we watched for this, but it's.
Oh, I have an even hotter take in regards to that, but yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
It's fine. It's not one of the ones out of like all of the movies that we're going to be doing eventually. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't one that I would come back to a lot.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's one I want to like more than I do. And I was trying to figure out why it wasn't connecting, and it primarily I think it's the character stuff for me. If there had been more of that. Like there's no one there that really challenges Nausicaä. She's just the best. Yeah. And it's like a little boring. Could be, and I don't care about bugs that much. So I don't have, if I had a deep love for those bugs, maybe that could get me there too, like from the other side. But that's not the visual stuff that gets me in the movie. Although I will say, like, that swarm of these red insect things coming to destroy all of humans did remind me of the Matrix Revolutions. So there's that.
I assume it's just machines coming to kill all the
Yeah, but they're like bug-like machines.
They're squiddy
and
things.
They're squids, yeah. They have many red eyes.
Okay, yeah. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since the Matrix sequels for me.
That's fair. So yeah. So between Castle of Cagliostro and Nausicaä Valley of the Wind, who are you taking, Ben?
It's really close in the sense that it's not close at all. And it's gonna go to Cagliostro.
Yeah.
Which was a surprise for me. Like I didn't, coming into this, no idea. But it's cool.
That's the one that is based on a manga that Miyazaki didn't write versus the one based on a manga that Miyazaki did write. So, who's the better writer?
I, I mean, it's, it's hard to look on that. Like, ugh. I feel like
I
there's
mean,
two
he
different
did also
movies.
write Castle of Cagliostro, so it's not like It's not
Like the
like
movie, yeah.
I'm no. Yeah, he wrote the movie, and I mean, he also worked on the TV show before that. But
Okay.
it's not like he's uninvolved in Lupin. I'm just saying, Nausicaa was
Yeah.
more his baby, which I think is why the environmental stuff is more heavy-handed,
Oh,
because that's
absolutely.
that's his deal. He feels
Yeah.
strongly about it, having seen a bunch of his movies.
I mean, if you look closely, those messages are definitely there a little bit, slightly.
They're very heavy, most of them, honestly. If I
Yeah.
had
No, it's not.
my
It's not
biggest
subtle at
complaint
all.
about him, his oeuvre, he's heavy-handed with that stuff.
Hmm.
But let's move on. We'll have plenty of opportunity to talk about that with other movies.
Oh yeah.
So now we've got Laputa, Castle in the Sky, which came just 2 years later.
Yeah.
And this one I really like this one a lot. This one got me.
Pirates out of 10.
Pirates out of 10. See, this one has the character stuff that I was craving. There's just a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
character interaction. You get the boy and the girl meet at the very beginning of the movie. You've got the pirates,
It's
who are
so
just
good, dude.
great. They're so heartwarming.
It's yeah. I don't know. I'm a sucker for that trope stuff, like the band of cutthroat pirates, but actually they're pretty nice and they're helping the protagonist
Got a
go
heart
for
of
their
gold.
dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
They like gold, and it's also in their hearts.
And also the army sucks and is evil. Because of course
Yeah.
it is.
I think this is like I mean maybe a little bit noticeable in Cagliostro and I guess sort of Nausicaa, but I feel like this is the first film where it's really noticeable that Miyazaki really likes planes. Like he
Mm-hmm.
likes shit that flies.
I mean, Nausicaa Valley Wind had a lot of flying in it too. I think that you just didn't like that movie as much. It is already pretty apparent
Okay,
that he likes planes a lot.
like I didn't like it as much, sure, but it also didn't the flying wasn't as whimsical, you know?
Uh-huh. It wasn't as good, but yeah. I'm just saying it was there. Um Yeah, we've got we've lost Ben. But yeah, Laputa is it's just a good movie.
It is. I also didn't hear like the stuff you said for like the last 5 seconds.
I really was struggling, honestly, for where I was gonna go next. So you've got this girl who's we don't know, and pirates come after her, and they want to steal this rock, but then it like also ends up turning out that she was on that plane already having been kidnapped by the army, basically. So you've got those two groups after her, and then she falls and meets this orphan boy from a mining town who's obsessed with Laputa Castle in the Sky because his dead dad saw it at one point in his life and took a picture of it. And she's like a princess from that ancestor from that city and has a magic stone that gives her powers. And the army wants to get it. And all that good stuff. And then the army... There's like the general army and then sunglass dudes special forces group of the army, whatever, Interpol or whatever they're supposed to be. But then the head of them turns out to also be a Laputan descendant and is evil, and that's why he's after the stone to take over
Yeah.
the Laputa itself, because it's a big weapon in the sky thing. It's a big, it's basically just, a big gun in the sky. Classic. But also it's got a castle on it, and there's a robot who's lives with the animals in peace with nature, some good Iron Giant stuff.
I'm a
Unlike
huge sucker for overgrown robot thing. It's real good.
Yeah.
Good design.
He's just Wally. He's just out there doing his thing.
Yeah.
It's just funnier because there are plenty of dead robots up there, but then they're like below. There are plenty of working robots that are still death machines after you meet the friendly one. It's like it's the reverse of how that trope goes. It's like you see the evil robots, but then surprise, there's the good one. Nope. You see the good one, and then surprise, there are a lot of evil ones. And then the good one's really not important anymore. He's not like part of the plot at all. He just hangs out like the whole movie. He's like oblivious to it. It doesn't affect him at all, despite being right nearby, which is kind of funny.
He's just trying to do robot stuff, dude.
Dude, he's putting flowers on that grave, and he's got those squirrel foxes from Nausicaä hanging out on his shoulder. Miyazaki's Pikachu.
Oh no. I mean, he's living his best life.
He is. You see what happened to those other robots? It did not work out okay for them.
Yeah, no, they got the short end of that stick. There is, I think I think it comes up several times. The pirates have like do they call it a crow's nest or something when they send the kid up in the little plane like trailing behind the ship?
Yeah.
That shit makes my heart lurch. I love it, but at the same time I also hate it.
That's funny.
Like, I put myself there without even trying to. Like, I can't help but imagine myself in that scenario, and I'm like, this is great, but also I'm like, no bueno.
It's funny. As someone who is cold and feels nothing, except this movie did make me feel things by the end. So, it got me. It got me.
Ooh.
It got me. It worked. That's why I really like this one. It worked. It cut through all the levels of cynicism in me by the end because I cared about the characters.
Nice. It's really like the highest compliment that can be paid to a movie then, basically.
That's pretty good. On the animation front, I really like the style they use for the flashback stuff in this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even really know how to... It's like to make it look like it's out of like a picture book, kind of. There are all these these shading lines put on it.
Yeah.
And it's all like big chunks of moving objects. Like they're a little more physical.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the clouds move or whatever. And it's just good looking. It just looks cool.
Oh, yeah. No, it looks really cool. It's a good style of doing it.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I don't know, maybe cop-out's not the right word, but like that, oh, we're gonna show it in like black and white or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like make it look like a
or sepia tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard with these movies to like, it's kind of like there's like a part of me that's like just gonna want to step over how good the animation is sometimes, because the animation's gonna be good in all these movies. It's kind of
the thing. It's kind of a default thing.
It's the default you go in, so you're holding different standards to this stuff, and when these movies are gonna nail the character stuff is gonna be when I'm the most into them, because as much as I do like good animation, that does work for me. the parts where it all comes together and to be a better movie to elevate the whole thing is where it's really gonna do it for me, because I like movies that are good as well as movies that are terrible. But
I was gonna say, like, didn't you have me watch The Room?
movies that are just fall short of being good or that are kind of mediocre are where I'm super less into stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm here for the top end. I'm here for the top end. God damn it. And this I would consider top end Miyazaki. This movie's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I would certainly. I don't. I mean, I guess
We'll get to other ones later.
I was gonna say,
out of these four,
I'm not gonna rank it right now, but literally, we're gonna rank it like right now, kind of.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we've got another movie to talk about first. We've got Castle in the Sky and Nausicaä I do kind of see as like similar. There's the stakes aren't necessarily as high in Castle in the Sky. You don't have like the end of humanity, but you do have a guy who's like potentially about to take over the world.
Yeah, it's a big gun that an evil dude wants. It's pretty bad.
It's
not good.
But our next movie, My Neighbor Totoro, very different stakes. There are almost no stakes.
So
I would say, because even by the standards of this kind of movie, the stakes are very low. Because I would put this in the sick parent genre, but the parent in this case isn't actually all that sick, despite not being at home and being in the hospital the whole movie. Like, part of the thing is like she's not actually that sick. It's fine.
So is that supposed to be from like a little kid's perspective though? Like they're taking it as worse than it is.
I mean, their mom is not living at home. That's pretty bad. Yeah. But I just mean, like, if you compare it to like Disney movies, the parent is dead when you're doing this idea. The parent is super dead. Here, the parent is like has a cold and has to stay in the hospital for a little while.
Yeah. I'm gonna lead off with a hot take before I leg out again. I don't like Totoro that much. Like the film itself. Not a huge fan.
The movie. I thought you were gonna say the character.
No, the character is amazing, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why some people, I'm going to generalize and say, especially females, tend to like this movie more than they otherwise would.
You just don't like children, Ben. You just don't like kids.
That's really not it.
You don't like kids that are like kids.
I wanted more Totoro shit, and there's not enough of it.
There is not that much Totoro shit.
It's just
you're not wrong.
It's kind of a boring film, I guess.
It's very low stakes.
It's low stakes. It's like slice of life without the life.
No, it's the life of children.
Yeah, they don't do shit. They're little do-nothing.
They run around and they scream because they're kids.
Yeah, there is a lot of yelling too.
It's accurate. It's accurate. It's accurate to ways children actually behave.
Which is why nobody wants to watch the movie.
I mean, you're just wrong about that one, but
yeah, no, it's like it's not as dull as I think it is, but it's still just like, that's like my opinion, man.
Look, man, they have to get their dad his umbrella. He forgot his umbrella.
Yeah.
And he's honestly, the most striking thing about that is like it was realistic, because I'm used to watching anime where getting caught in the rain is like you're gonna die because you got caught in the rain. That is an often trope in anime where getting rained on a little bit without an umbrella, you're just dead. You've got tuberculosis now, or you're coughing up blood because of rain.
Guaranteed to die.
And like no one was dying of sadness. It's fine. Like the tropes it avoided, I think, are as important as anything the movie necessarily does. You know, it's
Mhm.
it's a low stakes, realistic kids living out in the summer, have their imaginary friend who's magical and real. You know,
I was gonna say
again, I think the movie could have been shorter,
yes.
but you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just I think part of what has colored my opinion of this film is that if I ever see reference in some shape or form to Studio Ghibli or Miyazaki, any of those works,
Mhm.
it's in real life. It's always Totoro. 100% of the time it's Totoro.
He is
It's
their
always
logo.
Totoro.
He is the Ghibli logo. I don't know. It has the cat bus, man. There's a great so speaking of uh Miyazaki works that influenced Persona 5. There is a great part where the line in Persona 5 about why the cat can turn into a car is because in that area they're in the subconscious of the Japanese public, and the Japanese public subconscious just associates cats with being able to be modes of transportation because of Totoro. Literally just because of this movie.
Like
Just because of the
that
cat
is
bus.
that's pretty good. It's not surprising. Like it's iconic.
This is a fact about the people of
Cat
Japan
bus is good
because of
shit though.
this. Yo, the demented smiles for Totoro and that cat bus, they're just so fucking big and
Yeah.
crazy. They're good. They're fun.
Man, Totoro and his friends and his little tree house area.
Uh huh.
That's good shit. Like I wanted more of that. I
Uh
wanted to
huh.
see more of that world
Uh huh.
instead of yelling.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
So I learned this today. There's a 13-minute sequel to this movie that only plays it's no wide release. It only plays at the Ghibli Museum,
Ooh.
and it's just about the younger. It takes place like a couple months after the end of this movie, and the younger girl May finds meets Kitten Bus,
Oh
which is
my
like
god.
Cat Bus but just big enough to fit her inside it.
Okay.
And then she
I
meets more
mean,
of like she meets an older Cat Bus thing. I think at the end it's like there's like no that's it because I mean it's a 13-minute thing, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the Kitten Bus is the thing.
Dude, I'm down.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. This I enjoyed this movie. I would say
yeah,
it's
it's
no
fine.
it's no Laputa Castle in the Sky, but I honestly it got me again. Like it just was fun and it connected with
Yeah.
me in a way Nausicaa didn't. So
hmm I think this one is weird just because like
I really like
for as
Totoro.
yeah for as much as again it's not a bad film. It's just like in comparison to other films of his,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not watch this one a ton. And yet I've seen it like 7 times.
Okay, see, if I'd seen it 7 times, I wouldn't
Like
feel as strongly about it.
it's just come up a lot, and I'm like trying to think of why. I don't even know why.
It's honestly one I avoided watching for a long time because I was like told it was more of a slight movie, like just it was less serious and more, you know,
hmm
slice of life or whatever. And like, yeah, I don't need to see that. So
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
just
7 might be an exaggeration,
just
but it's
watching
certainly
it,
more than 4.
uh, it's fine. It's charming.
Okay,
Again,
well, we'll revisit this particular part of the podcast after you've seen it another like 3 or 4 times.
whatever.
What? No, it's fine. It's good, and I definitely like. It's one that I when I have kids someday, I'll throw on My Neighbor Totoro.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to get used. I want them to know that if they meet like a crazy looking cat thing in the forest, like, and it offers them a ride in
Just take
itself,
it.
like you say yes.
Oh, that's a bad lesson.
Skills.
I did feel like the things that old woman was telling them, just I was just shaking my head sometimes. It was like, don't tell the kids that just eating your vegetables will make their mother better who's in the hospital. That's gonna lead to bad things. And then sure enough, one of the girls is like, I gotta fucking get this corn to my mom or she's gonna die. And she runs away. That's just, don't, sometimes, you're trying to be nice to kids, but maybe don't lie so strong.
No, that's classic kid advice, dude. If you listen to your parents and do your homework, it'll make your dead dog come back.
Literally, it creates the entire conflict of this movie.
Yeah.
It's telling that girl that corn can save her mother.
And I saw a theory about this film, like one of those shitty fan theories about how yeah, it's when the younger one gets lost and they're looking for her and they find that sandal. And then the older girl after waiting an unnecessarily long time, tells them that it's not her sandal.
Mm-hmm.
There, for some reason, despite this being in the film, there was a theory that like the younger girl died, like drowned there. And I don't know how you can support that theory when it actively isn't her sandal.
Yeah.
And
that one
also she
doesn't
comes
work.
up later in the film
It doesn't.
and talks to their parents.
I mean,
Like,
that sounds
I don't
like
know why.
some like edgelord really trying to find something in this movie to give it like some bite.
Some zest.
Yeah, because it really just doesn't have any. It's just
I don't know.
a feel-good
just thought it
movie,
was
which I
ridiculous.
kind of like. Again, compared to, it's like so low stakes. I kind of appreciate it because like movies, even a lot of kids movies, do not have the balls to be this. Like nothing is really dangerous. Like nothing bad is happening.
And like, I definitely appreciate it for that. Like, it's not. That's not really even why I'm like bitching about it a little. I don't know. I like stuff like that as a concept anyway.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, nothing really happens, but it looks nice.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's how it's kind of like how I feel with Nausicaä, where it's like, in theory, I like this, but because it didn't work for me, I'm going to come up with explanations for why it's things. Yeah. It's like, I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to like how it emotionally connects with you, or if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, there's a lot to pull apart, to pull at with like anything.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just the craft here is kind of undeniable. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's like, again, we're like, they're all good films. Just which one is the goodest?
Which one is the goodest?
So, Totoro versus Castle in the Sky. What are you picking?
I'm going with Laputa Castle in the Sky. I'm not.
This is gonna blow your mind, but I think I'm gonna follow suit.
Yeah, we're not actually going to disagree about which of those two movies is better. But here's the question.
Yeah.
Laputa Castle in the Sky or the Castle of Cagliostro?
As a surprise to myself, having watched all of these now, I think it's going to be Cagliostro for me.
Wow, so you're just cannot be trusted with your own taste, is what you're telling me.
Did you fucking hear those horns in that film? The soundtrack was banging the whole time. It was so good.
It's
Oh, it's
very
just a
good.
very enjoyable film overall. I don't know. Maybe that's affecting it. Maybe the fact that it's something fresh to me is.
That's fair. Yeah, no,
I'm gonna. This guy's very good though. It's close.
Yeah, it's
closer than I make it out to be.
It's close, and I really thought Cagliostro was gonna win, but Laputa got to me, so that's gonna win for me. It made me feel a thing.
That's a good.
My cold, dead heart. Cagliostro has those ninjas, though. It does have those ninjas.
Fucking ninjas, dude. Basically, yeah, you know what? It's not even coming down to two Ghibli movies. It's coming down to Pirates vs. Ninjas.
It's true.
All over again. It's like 2008.
So I wouldn't have expected myself to be on the pirate side, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't have expected myself to be on the ninja side.
See? Just all surprises. The world we live in.
That's why we do the
man.
podcast. Find out about it.
That's why you have to watch the movies. That's why you have to
Yeah.
consume the content before you make these decisions about what's better. You have to know. You have to be fresh.
Yeah.
To have true
Except
opinions.
if we're actually doing the Pirates of Castle in the Sky versus the Ninjas of Cagliostro, I'm doing Pirates all day, every day. So if we're basing it on that, we're gonna need a separate bracket.
You're just basing it off the soundtrack.
Not entirely on the soundtrack, like 2/3 on the soundtrack. Maybe. How dare you suggest something like that?
Just surprised Ben went with the least naturey movie.
That also is a bit of a shock, but I like in the future it's probably going to be at least closer. I don't know. It'll be interesting because yeah, I am a bit of a nature slut, so
Yeah, no, I'm surprised at what your favorite turned out to be.
I think there might be some more. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think like how much we've discussed Ghibli films in the past. Maybe we haven't enough. But I think you might be surprised a little bit more in the future. I haven't revealed all of my tricks.
The important thing is that Cat Bus had balls in that one shot.
Well, I mean, you got to keep the fleet strong.
Cat Bus is just such a good, adorable, creepy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely...
It's like totally adorable and horrifying.
Yeah. It's whimsical and magical, and also, I don't know if I would want to ride in one. I don't know if I'd be... It's, you know... I'm trying to think of how to word this here. In retrospect, it kind of gives off some of the same vibes that like those creepy Garfield comics have. Like the one where John wakes up and like Garfield is the house. And he's like, I was so hungry, John. I don't know, man.
It's pretty great. But Totoro is just, a great animal.
Oh, yeah, no. If,
it's it also just is like the real version of this story is this girl gets lost in the woods and then meets a bear and then the bear eats her.
Wait, for real?
No, in my brain when I was watching the movie. I'm like, if this were real, this is how this would go down. They would get lost in the woods.
They Fox and the Hound this shit? Like
no.
Oh man, that would have been a fun like party fact though. Like do a little Ghibli marathon. Put this one on. Like, guys, you want to hear something cool? That chick in real life died. Yeah, she got eaten by a bear.
Yeah, man.
I'm a little disappointed. Got ahead of myself. I shouldn't have believed it so readily.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have believed the thing I was making up off the top of my head.
Look, if it sounds good to me and it's semi-plausible, why shouldn't I believe it?
I mean, that was why I was thinking about it. Because, like, if a girl went in the forest and then met this giant creature and then started, like, climbing up on its belly, I don't know that it would work out so well for her. Totoro had a big mouth, too. He could have fit her inside his mouth very easily. She just tripped over when he's yawning in her face. She would just disappear. He wouldn't even know. She would just vanish. He'd be like, "Where'd she go? Where'd she go?" And then there wouldn't even be a shoe in the river or whatever.
There might be. What if the bear doesn't like shoes?
That's true.
You don't know that bear's life.
I would think we would throw it up, not over all the way over there. It's like not really close to where he lived.
I guess. What if there was a little stream that led into that river, though?
In that case, then yes, that could happen.
See?
But then he would throw it up both shoes, probably, also.
No, one could have sank. Or maybe he just keeps the right shoe of all of his victims. A little trophy case.
That'd be great. Just, you look behind, if you just look behind in the other hole next to where Totoro sleeps, there's just a bunch of right shoes.
Yeah, but really neatly kept. Like dusted and on a nice shelf. Maybe with dates on them. Like 56 vintage over one of them.
Totoro as a serial killer villain.
I don't know if serial killer is right if he's just eating.
I mean, he has a pattern. That's all I'm saying.
I said, yeah, okay, yeah, you got me there.
He's got the smile for being evil.
The police get involved.
I mean, the police just get eaten too. It's not. Don't even worry about it.
Shit. Don't even worry about it.
It's just the mystery. It's just the mystery of the forest, man. It's just a cursed. I mean, that people said that house was cursed.
Yeah,
I mean, they said it was haunted, but whatever, same thing.
Yeah, haunted by dust.
Haunted by a giant bear who lives next door.
And isn't really a ghost, so it's not haunted so much as hunted.
That house is hunted. What?
You mean haunted? No, I don't.
I don't. I really don't.
Man. Fucking bears.
Fucking bears, dude.
Fucking bears.
I guess that's a podcast.
Yeah. Seems like it.
So, you can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at saltcirclepod. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, the Salt Circle Podcast, and you can find our episodes hosted at anchor.fm/saltcircle, and I am on Twitter at comicpanels.
And I'm on Twitter at bean_LP.
If you found Totoro in the forest, though, what would you do?
Like actual Totoro or suspected Totoro?
Like the amount of Totoro you see in that first shot, where it's like his tail and his big ball of fur.
I'd check it out. Look, it goes one of two ways. It's Totoro, and I get a big old hug. I get to hang out with like a forest spirit thing. Or it's a bear, and to please my Scottish ancestors, I attempt to kill it with my bare hands and either die a hero or live to be a bigger hero. I can't lose.
So you would poke the bear. Okay.
Well, I'd try to strangle the bear, I think.
Oh, you wouldn't poke it? You just go right... But you don't know if it's Totoro. You can't just go straight into strangling.
Then I would like...
You gotta figure out...
Maybe.
I'm saying.
I'd probably... You know what? I'd make a noise.
Oh,
I don't want to touch it and then have it whip around on me.
So you're going to give up the element of surprise.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe with like a boo or something.
You walk up to a bear in the
like
forest,
it.
and he said boo. That was the last we ever heard of him.
I mean, I don't know.